I don't know what it does.
We should look. Let's have a look. Logitech. This is C922, isn't it?
C922. Something about streaming, I read.
Oh, ProStream.
ProStream?
Carm, I had you in my mind earlier today, or yesterday.
What's up?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. In your automotive industry business, do you also know manufacturers of parts, or is it only maintainers?
Oh, I know a ton of them. In my previous life for 40 years, having a relationship with manufacturers was a big part of my job.
So I was driving, and I thought of a product that I want to gear for the holiday season for Serve. But I've seen some cheap ones like at the auto parts store before, and that's why I said I got the guy that I need to ask. So you know how the back of the cars, let's say a Toyota Tundra or a Nissan Altima or a Ford F-150, you know the badges that they put on the vehicles?
Yeah.
They're not made, I don't know if they're made out of metal or they're made out of a really high quality chromed plastic or something. But I've seen cheap ones where they fall apart and they just look cheap. But I want the same OEM quality of the Served logo. And then folks can...
I was not in that level of the business, Ralph. I was in the replacement parts as far as making the car go forward. You're talking about the add-ons, the retail stuff you'd see like in a Pep Boys.
Yeah, and that stuff is cheap. Like I went quickly to go look, and the aftermarket were very cheap. And that's why I thought, where do the OEMs get their badging? Anyways, we can have a side conversation in Slack,
but we can. But by the way, the big organization that's over all of that, if you will, eye candy stuff, and I don't mean that yours is not eye candy, but it's an attachment.
Eye candy.
SEMA, SEMA. That's the national organization that's over all of that.
Okay, awesome. This is using my network.
Network is your net worth, Raph. That's what it's about. Boom.
That's right. I say it all the time. Thanks, Carmen.
Oh, well, I started it.
So I saw the Instagram TV thing.
Oh, yeah. It's good, that. I think we're going to do more of those, aren't we, Hannah? Hannah. We're going to do more Instagram TV, aren't we? Yeah. That's it. I think it's good, Cam.
I think Mark just likes looking to his right and just saying, Hannah. You do it way too much.
Hannah's not even there.
Hannah. It's like Hannah is like Alexa, right? It's like one of those names that is just rolled up. Right? Hannah.
That's actually not a bad idea, actually. Yeah, Hannah's like the little Alexa, like Alexa, and now Alexa's kicking off as well.
See?
So, Mark, did you have to get a special channel for that, or did you just go on and do it?
It's live to everyone now. I'm going to talk about it in a bit. I was kind of going to talk about content and hamster wheels and stuff because it's pertinent for Rick as well. And then Instagram TV came out last week as well, so it's worth talking about. But yeah, no, you don't have to get a channel as such.
You just go on. You just go on and record live. I mean, and it's strictly phone, no desktop, right?
No, not quite. No, it's actually no. You don't record live. You record and you can edit and you can create, but it's vertical video, so you create whatever you want and you can edit it and tweak it and think. I mean, I didn't. I just sat there. We've got 2 little studio setups down there. Raph, the one that I do my free coaching Friday on is the audio one, and then we've got the video one down there, which is the one that we do some of the academy stuff on.
Oh, so you record audio and video separately?
Yeah, I'll show you around if you want. Actually, come on, I'll show you around.
Okay,
so you can see.
I think what he says.
See, Hannah is there.
Hello, Hannah.
So we've got. I'll show you what I do, Cam. It might be interesting for you as well. So we've got down here, Kieran's here as well. It's beautiful. So this is the pre-coaching Friday setup.
Oh yeah.
So that's that one.
Yeah, been there, seen that.
So we've got that rig basically, which is the little mic setup, and then we've got the phone stand, and then the little whiteboard, and then the Rode podcaster. Then down here, we've got a little phone stand, and then we've got 2 tripods either side, so we can have as many cameras as we want. And then this is the little kind of little seating setup that we've got.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So what I did earlier, Cam, was I set the phone up on there, on this thing, and recorded the sound through my AirPods. And then you can edit it. I didn't edit it, obviously, but you can edit it as much as you want. So you can produce your videos and export them in like a 1080 wide via, by, I think, 1920 deep. And then what you do is you just publish it up there. So it comes from your device. I think you can as well. There's 2 things that you can do which are really cool. Number 1 is you can upload from desktop to Instagram, which is interesting, to your stories. And the second thing is you can put a custom cover on. So what a lot of people aren't doing at the minute is they're not putting a custom cover on. They're just like, they're picking a picture of themselves or whatever. But I did a really quick custom cover in Canva and just knocked it up there, which I thought was quite interesting. So I'm going to experiment with it. Hannah and I were talking about repurposing the content earlier. And for everything that we do on our blog, we're going to do a YouTube video to build that channel, and then an Instagram TV, but a custom video for Instagram.
So what's the different flavor between YouTube channel and an Instagram TV? It's the same, just a little bit of a different flavor, just different platform, different audience?
Well, I think it's the engagement as well. It's the fact that the reason I've jumped on it so early is because I think you've got the ability to bounce video off. So say if I see a video that Rick's done, and it might be like it's the stories that you put on or some of the posts that you put on about your weekend. I'm like, oh, fucking hell, this is really cool behind the scenes stuff. And the great thing with Instagram, which you can do with the channels as well, is that you can, say if I see Rick's, I could forward that on to you, Raf, or I could send a comment directly to Rick, or I could comment on the post or on the channel. So I think it's really interesting. It's limited to 10 minutes, but it is pre-produced stuff, Carl, which is interesting.
So it's kind of like merging YouTube, Facebook together is the advantage, where it's its own social platform that now has that added capability where when you're going on YouTube, you're just doing videos, and on Facebook, you're just doing Facebook. This one, you're bringing it all together. Yeah,
so I'm using Instagram, and certainly more at podcast websites. We're going to be using it for a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So we just ordered a nice gimbal today, like a stabilizing gimbal.
Oh yeah, which one? The GGI, or which one did you buy?
I can't remember. It's one beginning with Z, Zoya or something. But I'm going to do a little bit more of that stuff, a little bit more conference stuff, but a little bit more supplementary content as well for the Academy. We're going to put the free tier of the Academy out. So we're talking about Instagram Live, Instagram TV, Louisa. So yeah, we'll experiment with it, see what it is. But I think engagement on it will be really, really good. I think really, really good. So we'll see.
Well, let me tell you something. Since I was only a Twitter guy, right? So when I started Served in 2015, I only understood Twitter, and I wasn't very active, but I did Twitter. Very little Facebook, almost none, and Instagram. I really like Instagram because remember, Mark, when you told me that was my challenge, you said get on Instagram. I really like it because it really does merge, I feel, all those other platforms into that one while I'm talking to folks. And you're right. That seems to be where everybody's at right now is Instagram.
Yeah, I agree. So. And it's just a quick, simple medium, but it allows you to, like I've got one for my main personal one is where I mix everything together. Some of the business stuff, some of the personal stuff, and it's intended to be like that. My photography one is just the hobby one. It's just a place to just quickly view pictures. And the podcast websites one is very much a business one. So I think that one in between, my own personal one, is quite, that's where I'm going to be focusing. So I think for a personal brand and for not just a personal brand, but a personal brand who is behind a company, like a lot of the podcast websites content that you're going to see over the next 6 to 10 months is not going to focus, like I'll probably not have that much to do with it. It'll be other people. So to get my stuff or to get my take on podcast website stuff and the new technology stuff and podcasting the industry or online, but you know, that will be my personal profile as the CEO of this business. Do you know what I mean? It'll be like that side of it. So I think it's interesting. I do think it's an interesting channel. I think it's very interesting. A lot of power there, I think, at the minute. So anyway, we'll come back to that in a sec. But now Louise has joined us. Fortuitous timing there. We've not done the wins and challenges yet. So we dove into the Instagram chat. But Rick, I'm going to come to you, sir. I'm going to come to you for the wins and the challenges. You've been sat there pensively. So how's the week been, my man? How we doing?
Pretty good. So I guess I'm getting ready to travel a lot. So my week has been just a bunch of heads down, getting stuff done. I got all my podcasts recorded up through the beginning of August. I got approached for sponsorship out of the blue, which I didn't do, but I thought that was kind of interesting that somebody came and approached me. So got
what
that.
was the background there? Did it just not fit? Was it not the right person? Or?
I don't want any sponsorships right now. I don't want that cluttered up. So and it was one that I'm like, okay, not knowing where I really want. I know what I want the brand to represent, and I wasn't sure if it was just the coming out lounge. I would have gone, I would have probably explored a little bit further, but they wanted all the detail and everything. And I'm making an assumption here, but given how many listeners and everything I have, I know a sponsor is going to look at it and go, oh, okay, thanks, never mind. So but it was cool to get approached. So I told him I wasn't taking sponsors on at this moment, but I'd keep them in mind for the future. So yeah, that was kind of cool. And
well done, man.
I think the only other stuff is I've got a lot of stuff lined out to try to get done in the next 2 days before we take off. So that's it. That's the challenge. That's the challenge right now. Is getting all that shit done before we leave on Thursday. So
you're at World Domination Summit, aren't you? Is that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so the other thing that I came up with, I don't remember if you saw that or if I even shot it over to you. I think I did. But I was hoping to get like a really big name for my 300th episode, and I got really close. I almost got Margaret Cho, but she's not doing anything till the fall. So I will have Margaret Cho on sometime after September. But I thought, what better way to celebrate than to get, I don't know if I can get 300, but I would love to, and I'm not sure 300 would actually happen and be too long or too short. But since I'm going to World Domination Summit, National Speakers Association, Podcast Movement, right, all before the 300th episode, I thought it'd be kind of cool to do a person on the street sort of thing. Just what's your name and what's your big bold move you're going to make in the next year as a celebration, and see how many people I can get recorded, and that'll be the podcast, because I think it would be inspirational and just kind of cool to hear lots of other people's stuff, and it ties to the brand, and it's all about making bold moves to live your life on closet. So that's what I'm doing.
I sent that in Slack as well. Just echoed exactly what you just said, which I think it's a great idea. What you're going to do, just get a quick Zoom recorder out there and off you go.
Actually, I'm just going to use my phone. I'm just going to. I've got my microphone that plugs right into my phone that I use for my lapel mic, and I'm just going to plug it into my phone and just record memos. So just go from there.
Try there's two apps that I'd recommend over voice memos that seem to get a little bit more clarity. There's Rode, R-O-D-E, which is just the Rode Rec, R-E-C, so Rode Rec. And also, it's a little bit of money. It's like, but I'm talking like pennies. It's like $7. It's Boss Jock Studio. The reason why I like Boss Jock is that you can set different what are called carts up. So what you could have your intro music over one, or you could have you on one channel and someone else on another channel. And the reason that I like that is because you can very easily export the fully compressed MP3 to Dropbox. So it'll do the noise reduction. It's going to do everything for you. So when you drop it into your editor or send it off to an editor, there's nothing to do. It's all EQ'd. It's all good. So that's Boss Jock Studio. It's really, really cool, man. And it's like $7 or something. Good work. Okay. Well, no, that's good, man.
Hey, Rick, Mark, I just saw a hack on YouTube the other day, and it's using the H6, the Zoom, into your phone. So basically, Rick, if you're so basically, you know how we could plug in directly into the iPhone or whatever with an ATR 2100 or USB mic. This one takes it to the next level, where you could plug in into your iPhone using BossJock or the Rec app, but then your lapel mic is like on your lapel or your collar or wherever, and then you can walk around with another microphone, and it's basically just using the USB interface iPad in the H6. Basically, it's not drawing power, and it's called the USB mode. But anyways, that gives you the additional XLR input. So if you wanted to have the interview mic, and then your mic is the lapel mic, and then you don't have to be moving it back and forth. I don't know. That's just an option. I thought it was a really
This isn't. I'm not going to be saying anything on these. This is capturing, Raph, and my bold move is X. That's all I'm capturing. I'm not. Okay. Yeah. So, but that's a great idea what you just brought up. Yeah. I'm going to do the master introduction at the beginning of the show. One of the ways I wanted to celebrate was hearing bold moves people are making to live their life uncloseted, and in celebration of the 300th episode, here's 300 voices talking about their bold moves. And then I'm just let it play.
Awesome.
Cool, man. Love that. Well, thank you very much, Rick. That's good movement, man. That's good. I'm excited to see what the next month brings as well. When you go away and you see people, you come back with new stuff. So that's good. Well played, dude. Cam, what about you, sir? Wins, challenges for the week? How have we been?
His challenge is that he's watching Luisa eat a bagel and now he's hungry.
The win is he can go downstairs and get one.
Damn, looks good too. Is there cream cheese on there or butter?
No, it's chocolate chip. No cream cheese.
Oh, it's chocolate chip. Cool. All right. What's going on this week? Because of my new VA, my assistant, I've been forced, maybe that's the wrong word, to improve some systems and to take some of my standalone spreadsheets and pull them all into one place so that we are on the same page when it comes to releasing press releases and Edgar and Canva and releasing. So it was good, and I'm thrilled and happy of how it all came out. Really, it really came out well. We had a couple of requests for appearances come in, and frankly, I was busy during those times. It was amazing to be able to turn them down because I already had a gig. But it continues to tell me that my influence, exactly what they wanted me for was exactly what I continue to be doing. And challenges is, the wins is training Rick, and the challenges is training Rick. But we're moving forward. I just continue to find some flaws in how Canva works in a team environment, and it just pisses me off on thinking that some of these softwares, they either charge you, they don't want to charge you. It's very, very frustrating to build a team around some of the tools that I've been using. Otherwise, I'm just rocking in buried mode. My head is above water, and I'm being forced to stay ahead of the curve and loving life and living the dream.
That's good, though. Yeah, I think you'll have a couple of months of that.
I know I will. I know. Thank you. Thank you for confirming what I already feel.
Yeah. I think you'll have a couple of months because you've got to get those systems in, but that's when you'll start to see the up curve. It'll
be good. Yeah. And so I've got him building his own process street based on the responsibilities that I continue to shove off to him. And I'm basically, we just started the third week, and I told him this morning, I need to see some proactivity on your side to do these things to set your own pace going. And right now it's just been input. And I basically drew the line in the sand that says, now it's time for you to show me what you're learning and how you're going to build a process around it.
Yeah. And definitely get that kind of operating handbook going, really all the tiny things as well, even the tiniest little things, just get them down as a process and then you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, today
So
we actually built an episode on PW. I have yet to give them a password for that yet, and recorded it. I recorded it.
you can, sorry to jump in there, you can try the new delegate feature if you want. So we added it last week just for you. You say, I never give you anything. And I'm like, how did you count things?
Wait a minute. You have. Look at.
So I'm saying I'm sending you packages and you're like, you never give me anything.
I never say that. I never say that. Delegate feature. Delegate feature.
All you do is it's a new thing that we launched last week. On the left-hand side, you'll see a new section called users and delegates. And what that means is that you can add people to your website independently. And there's a little checkbox in there which says, do you want this person to be able to raise support requests on your behalf? So it'll come from them to us. And it'll, like, you've almost got two separate accounts. It feels like two separate accounts. They're a delegate on your website.
I swear I may have already done that. I don't know. I may have, because I know that I'm sitting on a password and a sign-in for him, because I really don't want him to play with that yet until I show him how to play.
Yeah. But it's a bit dangerous, isn't it? Yeah, you've got to let him see what he can do, and it's a little bit dangerous otherwise. But yeah, good, man. Yeah, let me know how you get on with the feature. It's a good one.
All right, man. Good. All right. I think I may have done it. I really do, because I think you told me about that a few weeks ago.
Wicked, man. Cool.
Otherwise, yeah.
I think
Forward steam ahead, man.
Yeah, you are. That's the thing. I think, don't worry about this. You'll keep your head above water for a while, but then suddenly all your time will come back at once. You're like, wait a minute. Actually, 3 months in, all the training's done. It'll be perfect. So, yeah, it's a good move, that dude. Really good. Thank you very much. Raf, I'm going to come to you because it looks like Louise has been chased. So I'm going to come to you, Raf. So give us the win and the challenge, my man. What's been going down?
So the win is that I survived a week of single parenting. The challenge is that nothing happened with served other than pontifications of stuff. I think it's good to spend the time with the family and to really observe what process is lacking. And I now have confirmed that the process of not having that sticker on back of the sticker. So remember we talked about it last time? That is huge, because now when I'm busy with the kids and running around, I think I had the opportunity of passing out maybe 20 stickers, but I didn't, because I knew it was going to turn into a conversation piece. And I just didn't engage because I had my kids running around and that. So now I said, all right, it's going to be just more like passing out the sticker and saying, hey, I can't talk now, but check out the website. Hit me up on Instagram. We'll talk more, right? And it could have been that easy, but I still could have gotten a sticker to the individuals. So that is a choke point that I need to fix this week, figure out how to get a sticker on back of the sticker. The other challenge that I have that I'm on the fence about, it's a vet-only competition, but it's the bag is $25,000. And basically, I read the rules, I read all the requirements, and I think I'm ready to write it up. I'm just nervous. Me, Raphael, is nervous of sitting down and putting the application together. They're not asking for a whole lot. They're asking basically for the business plan, the pitch. What are you doing? What are you going to do with the money? And I have 4 days to apply. And the sponsor is a restaurant here called Bob Evans. So it's a hometown. They're based out of Ohio, breakfast food. So I really believe that Served has a tremendous chance tugging at their hearts, because, they're a heartbeat of America type company.
Just to jump in there, Raf, what's the format of the application? Do they want you to fill some forms in, or do they want you to write it in your own way?
They're basically looking for like your business plan, and you upload it. So basically like you email this big package to them type deal. And then a small video at the end, a 3-minute video, which I would have thought that the video would have been what would have been my holdback. But since I'm already been practicing with Instagram and making videos, I'm not that nervous about that part. What I'm nervous about.
Sorry to jump in. Get that. We can get that in, actually. Let me know what that needs to be. Just give me a really short, succinct version of it, and I'll give you the headers. Okay. We can get you that money. I'll write you the headers that you need to write under, and then all we need to do is fill in each section. So send me that through, and I'll write those. I've done like 1,000 of those.
Oh, okay.
Things before. So yeah, that sounds good. Send me the pitch and everything. I'll have a look.
Yeah. And I think it'd be really good, even just to get my name out there, or just to get served out there as a presence and all that. So that's my biggest challenge of the fear, right? Of doing bold things, like Rick says, right? Just of just kicking down that door. And I thought that I could, but me, myself, is what's pulling back. And that's why I wanted to bring it to you guys, my trusted core, because I know that you guys would kick my butt and kick me forward.
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, just send me over and I'll sort the
Okay.
I'll sort the bits out with you. Cool, man. Well done. Good. Louisa, I'm going to come to you now. You've stopped being chased. What's the win? What's the challenge? How are things?
Oh, there's nothing. We were on vacation this week. Our friends came to visit. We went all over town fishing, going to the mountains and stuff like that. But it's interesting that while we were out, just within one afternoon, within a couple of hours, while I was in Costco or something, then I got approached by 3 different people putting comments out like, oh, well, those are all your kids. Oh, they're so adorable and they're so well behaved. And another lady's like, well, I don't know how you do this. I've got 6 kids and you're so sane. And that's when I wish I had something to hand out. I mean, I was out. I just only had my kid, had nothing to hand out, and just kind of like what Raph was saying, it reminded me, I think I need to make something. But other than that, nothing happened this week. But I ended up with the lady telling her to go to the website and look at the podcast. Oh, yeah, Carm. Carm has showed me that I need to do that.
It's like you've suddenly got a printing business.
Well,
do your 1,000.
I sent her a copy of that. In fact,
but I just don't know where we're going to send people. We've got blog, we've got podcasts, we've got the lead magnet. I don't know where to send.
Louisa, as you said that, I just suddenly got a thought. Duplicate or repeat exactly what I'm doing with Sir, but for you to work the best. And I just thought about it because I just came out to the car and it was kind of a fail for me. I was sort of premature. Let me see if I can show you guys. Here's the car. See, I have the Serve, but this is a magnet. So because your Harmonious Clan, do a magnet for the kitchen, for the refrigerator, right? So as they're having a meltdown, the kitchen is a place where this stuff is happening. They'll look at your logo or they'll look at your website and they'll say, I need to take time to go to Harmonious Clan and figure this out.
So just the logo, no real call to action. I think it needs to be a very specific call to action like Carm's. I mean, he directs his to the podcast.
I wouldn't even bother with a call to action, to be honest, Louise. I'd take what Raph said and kind of meld in a little bit what you're saying with the call to action. Yep, think about it. These people are asking the question. They're asking you a specific why. How are these kids so well behaved? All you need to do is put on a magnet, get a square magnet like that, Harmonious Clan at the top. 3 ways to make your kids behave better today. There's 2 more if you go to harmoniousclan.com/nice to meet you. And you put a little video on there and saying, hi, this is Louisa. I must have bumped into you somewhere. This is great. I'm glad that we met. And you must have a magnet to get to this address. So here are those 2 things that I promised you. By the way, there's an ebook there if you want it. That's the thing. Give them the answers straight away. If someone says to you, how do you solve
Give them the
problem?
2 things in the video and then send them to your e-magnet after the video?
So all you do is get a magnet or something done, which is just a square, and it's like your Harmonious Clan, a nice blue one, and on there's 3 ways to make your kids behave better right now. Like they get the magnet, and they're like, okay, there's 3 things on there. And then just put there are 2 more things over at harmoniousclan.com/greet, greet as in meet and greet. And then on that page, put a nice video from you, which is, hi, we must have met somewhere. Really good to meet you. I'm really glad. As I promised, here are my 2 extra tips on how to get your kids to behave better. And by the way, if you want a little bit more, next to this video, you can download my ebook. So go and get that as well.
Okay, so on your magnet, are you giving them the first tip? Where's the first tip?
I literally give them 3. Give them the first 3 on the magnet.
Yeah, and we're talking a physical magnet, Louise. So we're talking a physical thing you're handing to.
You're printing the tip on the magnet?
Put three of them.
Something
Three of them.
quirky that they can throw on the refrigerator. Like you can say, hey, throw this on your refrigerator, and it'll come in
Yeah,
handy
so
one day, right?
But on the magnet, you're printing the content of 3 tips.
Yeah.
Three
So
quick tips.
it might be number 1, do this. And it's literally a sentence and then a sentence and a sentence. 3 of those. Boom, boom, boom.
Okay.
And brought to you by Harmonious Clan or your logo or something. So what happens is, and I know because I have a lot of children, is the chaos and the blowout usually happens right there in that kitchen area. I'm not sure why. It's like the area of
That's where you live.
that's right.
You gotta feed your people that you live there.
That's right. So when literally like everything could be so harmonious, right? You can have a harmonious clan, and then within 5 seconds flat, it's freaking chaos, and you're like, what the hell just happened, right? Wow. Yeah. If that magnet is there and just beaming like a beacon right there in the kitchen, they're gonna say, step 1, chill out, or step, whatever your step 1 is, relax, it's okay, everybody goes through it, whatever it is. And then you're like, all right, cool. And then they walk themselves to step 1, 2, and 3. And then they're going to be like, you know what? This is so cool. Let me go on to the actual website and check it out. And then from there is where Mark was talking about. You see the videos and then you start pulling them in, right? The funnel starts kind of coming in.
So give them two extra, give them something extra to make the jump from there to there.
Right. And for me, Louisa, from practical experience of me doing this for the last 2 years, I really thought my car magnets were going to be a big hit, but they weren't. And that's why all of a sudden I came out to the car and they're on my car. The stickers for me was the big hit. And that's why I'm saying for you, I think the magnet's going to work well because it's an indoor environment and it's on the refrigerator. And they're thin.
And what about we get a lot of attention from people who are not our audience? It would be people that I know have grown kids who are not in the middle of it, but they just, I don't know, they'll come and buy our kids some ice cream and they'll admire something about it, something different for them that they can share, or same thing, because the same magnet isn't going to do.
Do what Raf says, which is, what Raf does, which is give this magnet to someone you think needs it.
So same magnet, but give it to someone you think can have it. Okay. Got it.
And it's only simple because kind of like everybody sort of knows of it, right? Everybody knows someone that served or something. Well, everybody knows someone that has small kids, right? Either it's a grandparent or an aunt or someone that's in the mix. So it's you're always only one removed away from your magnet going onto the right refrigerator.
Good idea. Thanks.
Yes, great idea, Raf. Cool. No, that's good. Good, Louisa. Yeah, just start to get a way to capture those guys and get them moving over. Just don't. What I would say is don't assume that a call to action is going to be the right thing to start with. It's like walking into a dealership for a car and the salesman pitching you straight away. You're not interested in that. So you've got to give them the value first, which is why Raf's idea is so good. Cool. No, that's good. That's really good. Any sort of challenges off the back of that one then? I know that's kind of the challenge, but anything else going on?
No, we're supposed to meet with a doctor who really wants to partner up, and we're thinking of some co-branding podcast, or he wants me to do workshop at his clinic and things like that. We're supposed to meet, but he got a call to the emergency room, so we had to cancel and trying to reschedule it for this week.
Okay. Well, that's good. At least that's still moving then. Can't really complain about the ER, but I was frustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much. So what I wanted to chat today about was kind of what we were chatting about earlier on. Not necessarily the Instagram TV thing, but that's kind of part of it. Was really doing kind of more peripheral-based content. And the reason for this is that there's so much noise out there at the minute. That is business oriented and personal brand oriented, where you've got every business that's vying for the attention of other people. So you've got people in Rick's sphere vying for the same attention, people in Cam's sphere, people in both of your spheres, Raf and Louisa, and they're all businesses. They're all thinking, what can we sell? What can we do? What can we do to build our email list or to increase our traffic and so on and so forth. And it got me thinking over the weekend, some of the kind of more peripheral types of content that we can be creating and doing a little bit more with And then Instagram TV launched, and it was a really interesting kind of bit of timing on that front, where we're actually creating little bits of this micro content. We've kind of spoke about micro content before, but these micro kind of interactions with people where it's previously it would have been like an Instagram story, which I think we can still do. But what can we do to kind of give people the whole spectrum view of what we're doing? You know, because most people only see this bit, which is the business marketing stuff. You know, it's the business marketing stuff. So the content that we specifically create to market the business, what we're starting to see the edges as being where people are winning is when people are doing this business marketing stuff, but then it's supported by, well, all right, I'm being told to buy this thing or go on this email list. And I understand that it's this person telling me to. But over here, somewhere right around the back somewhere, there's this other little bit of content, or over here there's some other content, or there's these other bits of content which are from the same person, but they're not really to do with this thing they're marketing. It just shows what their values are and what they care about and what they do at a weekend and what do they like to do, what are they drinking, what are they not drinking, what are they. And I think that's where the edge is, you know, if everyone's marketing the same sort of thing. Because Louisa, for you guys, ultimately you're no different to any other website that gives parenting advice. We know that you are. We know you're very specific and very niche. We know you're good at it and that you live in it. But until someone knows that, they don't know it. You're just another website, you know? So what can you do to kind of give yourself the edge? What can you do to tip the scales a little bit? What can you do to add into your platform to create these bits of micro content? And the Instagram TV announcement was just kind of serendipitous because I think that's going to be a really good outlet for that. So Cam, I'm going to kind of throw over to you. And the reason that I'm going to throw over to you is because you create content as remarkable results for business. We talked about actually creating content as Calm and doing other things as Calm, you know, so where are the gaps in that? Where could we add to that? How much do people really know the person behind remarkable results? So just kind of going to throw that out to you and just kind of get some opinion on it, really. Like, what do you do in that space? And what are the stoppers for it?
One of the things that I know that I need to do is to I need to do more on Instagram. I need to do more on me and my private stuff on Facebook. But again, I think it's just all noise. So I'm not really sure yet, Mark, what's going to help round out the micro content. I am blogging. I'm posting on blogs. I haven't done a lot to promote the fact that I'm doing that. You know, I've been building so many really cool things on the site, and a couple of people have surprised. I built a photo page. Every time I'm out and taking a selfie with someone, I've got all these pictures sitting on my drive. I decided to put them up on the site called a photo page, and I'm promoting it. And I told people, send me their photos. I'll put them up, and I'm doing that. So it's just another part, if you will, of the brand to show that I'm involved and that there's a ton of people that I know and that I've been with who've been on the show, who haven't been on the show. I also know that, Mark, as you have told me, I have a voice. Someone just wrote me an email the other day and said, you're doing so many incredible things for the industry. It's about time everyone knew about you. And, you know, I haven't had a chance to write him back and say, what do you have in mind? But, you know, so where I am in part of my thinking about going micro is to do my own show, this Aftermarket Insights show, if you will, and speak of what's going on inside the industry. But there's so many other things. I mean, I'm talking to people about stuff that are just going on in the industry and challenges with people. My influence is going beyond just what I'm doing, and it's getting deeper. And those interactions with me warrants me to have my own 10 or 12 minute show. And that may be the way that I could showcase everything else that I'm doing. I don't know. But Instagram TV, I love it. I really need to be on Facebook Live at least one day a week. I'm on it at noon on Fridays for my academy, but I'm not anywhere else. I'm not found anywhere else. And
Well, I think
although I am doing a ton of posts, Mark, no one is hearing from me.
well, that's an interesting thing. And just to jump in on that one, I think it's not necessarily focused on the Instagram TV thing, but finding, if you think about the logic of the business, you know, and if you think, well, for all you guys, Raf, Louisa, Rick, Cam, if you think about the thing that you're trying to build your platform. Now that's your site and your entire kind of hub is the entire central focal point of everything. But, you know, you've got the podcast here, so you've got the site, which is the property. You know, that's the thing. That's your land. That's what you own. And then you've got this kind of, you've got all your content channels. If you are, and in particular with you, Cam, and Rick, in fact, all of you, there are really two things that you can do with the business. You can either stay in the business or you can get out of the business. There's only those two things, you know what I mean? Until death. You either stay in it or you get out of it. And if you get out of it, what are you going to do next? If you stay in it, what's the value? What is the value to an investor when you want to take the foot off the pedal? Who can take it over? What are they taking over? Or if you do exit it, what are they buying? They're not just going to buy the hub, the platform, the podcast. Actually, the part of the job is to build all of these different followings in different places. Like if you write a book now and go to a publisher, they're like, right, what's your Twitter following? What's your Instagram following? Like you have to build all of these platforms out around, because it's not, they become your platform. You know, all of these different channels become your platform. So I think picking something, and the reason that I wanted to kind of bring this up was that, let's say you focus on Facebook and it's Facebook video. If you're creating your podcast as your main channel of content and you're monetizing it, whatever, or you're doing coaching or whatever, and what you basically, it's content marketing for your stuff. That's it. When we think to ourselves, right, we need to let people in behind the scenes or let people behind the curtain, or we need to do more, we've got that urge to create a little bit more content, we go to the channel that we already know, which is fine, it's great. We create another podcast or we create another video series. What if we kind of flipped that a little bit and actually said to ourselves, well, where is our following lacking? And what can we do to give them content that is only available on here? So like Cam with yours, maybe Cam's Corner or whatever it is, it's Cam's take on the automotive aftermarket, and is only available, and you cannot get this elsewhere. It is only available on Instagram TV. Maximum 10 minutes. Same with you as well, Rick, you know, thinking about what you do. If you think about this pre-permission idea that we've got this issue with the coaching, you know, this pre-permission that we've got to give ourselves permission to even look into getting a coach for this thing. Like that is a big challenge in your game. A platform, it might not be Instagram TV, it might be Periscope, or, you know, Periscope's still around, it's still doing well. It might be Facebook or something. But what can we do to do a different piece of content and a different piece of work that does a very different thing and builds numbers in a very different place, so that when we go to someone and say, here's my business, maybe we're exiting it, maybe we're looking for investment, maybe we're doing whatever, we can give it and we can say, well, look, this is the hub, this is the platform, these are my content channels, this is my reach across all of these platforms, and here's how these guys engage because I only do this content here, and here's how these guys engage and I do that content there. So you become, one, more saleable, but two, you become just generally more attractive to a wider range of people. So it's kind of worth thinking about, and I think you can all do something quite cool with that. You know, Cam, I see you as having your own show on something like Facebook or YouTube that's just your show and it's only available there. Louisa and Marco, you know, you guys, we talked in Slack, I sent you a message earlier today about what you said. What, do we do this type of content? Do we do behind the scenes? Do both, but put behind the scenes on one format content on Instagram TV and then put the other format on YouTube. You know, so we're building platform and we're cross-pollinating all these platforms. Rick, from your side, a couple of ways to cut this one. We talked about LinkedIn. Company culture stuff is just all on LinkedIn. That's the only thing that goes on LinkedIn. But then on Instagram TV, it's the behind the scenes. It's how you're living your life because you've made the bold. But be really strategic with the content. Raf, actually, you're recording a 5-minute video behind the scenes at a veterans fair. That's perfect. But it's there, it's recorded, it's done. And it's actually, welcome to Surf TV episode 1. Boom. I'm actually here at this fair. Look, I'm going to give out these 10 stickers. Pause. All right, I've given 5 out. Boom, boom, boom. You know, so you've all got these opportunities. But
And I actually think this is where I'm getting really excited about this, because in the veteran space, military spouse space, this space that I'm trying to break in with Serve, there are a ton of blogs. And that was something that was very intimidating to me about 2 years ago, even months ago, was this idea of having to write blogs, right? But I believe that by going this audio video, that's actually, I'm talking, baby. This is where I got the idea of the podcast, because I have the gift of gab, and that's where my talent is. Well, now adding the podcast and adding this video component, I think is just going to be perfect, because I can still work on the blogs later, because everybody has blogs and it's sort of a standard that I have to meet or kind of have out there for more content. But I think this audio video world, and that's why I'm so excited about this Instagram and the Instagram TV. And like here, let me give you a quick example. Yesterday I went to go pick up my wife from the airport, and we needed to find a spot to hang out. So I told my wife, meet me at the USO. Well, Mark, if you don't know, do you know what the USO is? It's basically where veterans and military members go at various places around the world to hang out for flights or trains or whatever it is. And I just thought, why don't I just make it once a week or once every 2 weeks? I go to the airport USO and just hang out and do an Instagram live TV. Like, this is where I was. So even though I don't feel I was productive this past week, my mind got the space to think and be creative. And I thought, all I need is my hand. This is where the idea, Rick, came from, the handy and the mic lav and having the microphone. So I'm not passing it back and forth, right? You don't have that visual, but I'm talking, and then the individual's got their own mic and talking. That's where that research came, and that's where that resulted from. But so don't be surprised if 2 or 3 weeks from now I'm broadcasting from the USO at Baltimore Washington International Airport, or stuff like that. Anyway, so some jump in, but this is where I'm getting really excited, because this audio video medium, I think, is going to be really my forte. And a lot of people are afraid to talk on camera. So this is a huge advantage that we all have, is that I don't believe that we're afraid to talk into a microphone, one, but two, on video. And it ties into that psychological fear of stage fright, right? Of public speaking. This is a form of public speaking. So I believe that not everybody is going to transition quickly into this space, given us first availability of this market share. So anyways, that's just my analysis. Sorry to jump in.
No, I agree, man. And I think the thing to consider with that is the why behind doing it. Because what a lot of people then will do is they'll start creating content for the sake of it and just creating that content. So one of the kind of things that I think we've all got to. Cam's getting shouted at. Cam's getting shouted at. Cam, you're definitely in the doghouse there, Cam. The thing that I would consider is like the strategy behind it. Excuse me. So what most people will do is they'll create content without any thought, and they'll just do it for that channel. But again, using you as the example on this particular, let's say you try Instagram TV and you record a 5-10 minute video. Like, what is the call to action? But what is the call to action in a non-salesy way? So what I mean by that is, Instagram and so on are just these massive tools of gaining public exposure. Like, what is the first step of getting someone back into your other ecosystem? So is it something like, for example, come and see me speak? Rick, you do a talk on something on Instagram or on Facebook Live. Like, what is the call to action? Most people then say, go and get my ebook. But it's just obvious that content is just then about sales. If you're doing it behind the scenes, a 5-minute video at a conference, here I am at Podcast Movement, just about to go on stage, just about to do this. Actually, a little bit nervous. I'm going to talk about these 5 things. And if you want a little bit more, go over onto my website, onto the speaking page, and you can see the full video of the talk. The very thing that I'm just about to do, and I'm telling you that I'm just about to do, you can now get on my website. So move them across the channel. Louisa, from your perspective, it might be something like a 5-minute video. And look, guys, this is me. We're preparing to go on vacation. we've got all the kids with us. It's a little bit crazy. But just, look, I'm going to put the phone there and just let you watch for 5 minutes how we do this. And then, all right, guys, you've seen how we've done that. We're going to hit the road. But if you want a little bit more, if you want to check in on our progress, head over to our YouTube channel. We'll be doing a vlog over there, and we'll be editing it. It'll be proper. But this is just a quick behind the scenes. You know, so there's ways and means of pulling people across all these different channels. And what most people tend to do is they'll film something and just go, right, now go get this thing from me. Now go buy this thing or jump on my email list. Just, it's about getting the hooks in. You know, it sounds really crass, but you get my point. It's about just getting the hooks in the people. You're all well positioned for that as well. I think, Rick, you're maybe an interesting one because you've got the 3 different areas that you could focus on. I don't know where you'd fit this kind of thing in, that like that behind the scenes stuff. I'm not quite sure where that'd fit in. But I think you'd be a natural kind of fit for it. I just don't know where it'd fit in into your services. You know, where would you guide people through to? So that might bear some thought. How are you finding Instagram, Rick? Because you're doing a lot of personal stuff on Instagram. How are you finding the mix between that and the businessy kind of podcasty promo stuff? What do you get the most engagement on?
It just depends. I mean, like I'm just looking at something right now to see where it is. I kind of get a little, pretty much even on both, depending on what it is. So like Saturday, I posted something about being really vulnerable and going without my shirt on a hike. And that's gotten a huge amount of, you know, I've got like 40, 50 some odd comments at this point. So I think where the mix comes in is Instagram is always going to be kind of the personal place for me, but there's opportunity for me to take and tie it to the brand even when it's personal. It'll be interesting to see, because there is the mixture of the personal and the other stuff happening. I'm just kind of looking at some of the other ones. I mean, my Motivation Mondays and like when podcasts come out, those tend to get pretty good engagement. But then the personal stuff gets more, you know? So I think if maybe I started tying some of the personal stuff in, then it might lead to engagement over on the other side. It just depends. I don't know. It's interesting to look at these numbers.
And Louise just asked you a question.
Through right now, looking at different things.
That's right, man. So, Louisa, you've just asked, is the idea to bring people to other platforms, for example, bring YouTube people to Instagram? What's the benefit of that? I think specifically you guys, I think as Harmonious Clan, I think you want to move people way too quickly into wanting, like, I think the way you measure things is great, but wanting to move people from seeing 1 tweet to being on your email list or 2 tweets or 10 tweets, all this content that you're providing is so transient. Like it's on someone's, you know, it's on someone's phone as they're going like that, and they'll go like that, hit retweet, and then forget about it. So it's more like just keeping at people. And the benefit of it is that, look, they've got to spend their time, right? They're holding their phones more than ever. They're holding their tech more than ever. It's about, they've got to spend that time doing something. So the goal with this is to make sure that as much of that time is spent doing something that is yours. That's the big deal with that one, is that they're not going to jump on an email list until they want what you're giving. They're not going to engage with it until they want what you're giving. You know, TVs are always on sale. They are on sale 24/7, 365 days a year. Quite literally. Kieran knows, he's always buying them. Sofas, mate, not settees. And then the thing is, I only buy one when I want one and when I need one, and I only start researching it. So it's about bringing them into the ecosystem. It's about saying, okay, look, we know that you might not want to buy this thing. You might not even want to be on our email list. But just be aware that this other ecosystem exists. So when you're wasting your time on Facebook instead of watching TV, make sure you're wasting it with us. You know, and same on Instagram. Like, oh, I recognize Cam. Yeah, he's the guy from Twitter. Oh, he's got this channel as well. So it's about keeping them in that ecosystem, you know. And then eventually, when they're ready, you just got to keep blasting them. Okay, by the way, remember the ebooks still exist. by the way, remember the ebooks like this, the ebooks like this, the ebooks, and that eventually they will be. You know? So it's just about bringing them into that ecosystem. Because people are spending a shit ton of time on their devices. We want it as much of that to do with us. And that kind of plays to the idea that we spoke about, which is, you know, call it 6, 7, 10 months ago, whatever it was, when it was started talking about Gonzo and started talking about some of the other shows. It was, okay, what's the point of this? Well, if we want a share of the ear of people in the industry, and they're going to listen to 2, 3, 4 podcasts a week anyway, wouldn't it be great if 2 or 3 of those were ours? Because they're going to listen to these shows anyway. They're going to listen to podcasts anyway. Wouldn't it be great if they just happened to be ours as well? You know, that's the kind of output on that, Louisa. It's the challenge with that is that it can feel like you're doing a lot of work for not that much return. That's the only challenge with it. So you've got to really. This is why I think this micro content is very, very interesting. Because before you had to commit to writing 1,000-word blog post every time. 1,000-word blog post, 45-minute podcast episode. You know, you have to commit to all this stuff. Whereas now, you've still got to commit to it. You've still got to deliver on it. You've still got to give the same quality, but you can do it in 2 minutes or 3 minutes.
Exactly. And that is key. And if you guys recall back, I hung on to this, where Mark said, we all have a super value. We all bring something to the table that is like a super talent or a superpower of some type. And for me, it's the 5 kids. So Louisa, it's your children as well. So for me, making quick videos of us going through the air show gives me a ton more hits and hearts and likes than me at the air show. It was really odd. And I did it at this last air show where I did a picture of Ethan, my oldest, with Patty Wagstaff. That tweet got retweeted by Patty. I think we're like at 1,200 views. The one with me with Patty Wagstaff got like 5, right? So my superpower, I realized real quickly, and Mark and we discussed this months ago, that me rolling with my clan, my 5 out there handing out stickers is going to be my superpower, right? Because they're seeing, this is a dad, this is a vet, this guy's taking the time out, he's got kids, wow, let's support him, right? And so all that plays into it. And again, I had to really figure out, because I didn't want it to be fake, because I see a lot of fake on social media and it just bothers me. So I had to get down to the real root of why I'm doing this. And I'm so excited now because I think everything is in alignment. And now getting introduced to the Instagram and then this Instagram TV concept, it's like fitting perfectly for what I want to do, because I get nervous at the thought of writing a 1,000-word blog, right? Can I do it? Yes, of course. But just to be committed to that. But now I say I'd rather commit to the Instagram and the social media platforms via video and audio. And now I can put the blog to like maybe once a quarter now. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm rebalancing. I'm reshifting the balance where before the blog was at the front. So I'm really excited about this episode. It's timely. And you can tell that I'm excited because I keep jumping in. So.
That's good, man. Good thoughts, valuable thoughts as well. And it is that commitment thing. You got to commit to something, but if you can, you know, if you can commit with the least amount of input for the maximum impact, that's what it's about with that. So cool. Well, we're going to wrap it up in a second. I've got a meeting in a few, 5 or 10 minutes, so we're all good. But any parting thoughts? Anyone need a hand with anything? How are we feeling with stuff? What's the kind of next steps for anyone? Anyone got any parting shots of wisdom? Cool. We'll check in on it. I
wanted to say something. So that means the key is on every social media, you kind of need to leave a little bit of, find more on this other platform. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think use each channel. The ultimate goal is to get people to your website. So that's where the meat of the content should be. That's where the meat of everything should be. Everything else is peripheral upgrade content. Instagram TV shows a different angle. Has anyone watched Cobra Kai yet? Have you ever seen Cobra Kai? You ever watched it? So Karate Kid, end of Karate Kid, Paul Blond guy gets kicked in the face. One of the opening scenes of Cobra Kai, the follow-up, is that you see that kick from a different angle. And that's the point. is that you see that from a different angle. You're like, holy shit, this is amazing. Look at that. But you've seen it 1,000 times. But you've seen it from a different angle, and you want to go watch that film because it's seen it. You don't see the run up to it. You don't see what happens after it. You don't see the story around it. All you see is that kick in the face. So you've got to use these different channels to give it from a different angle and then pull it in to the main content hub.
So we're dedicating each channel for that different angle, that different view, and we have to stay consistent with that view on that channel.
Yeah, because what you might decide, and maybe this plays into your sort of question the other day, is that, okay, you might decide that Instagram, and this is just for a total argument's sake, you may decide that Instagram is purely behind the scenes content. That is all I'm going to do on there. Just behind the scenes content. YouTube is my well-produced videos. And my blog posts are my real deep dive opinion pieces or tutorials. But you stick to that. Then you stick to that. And you be consistent with that. That's why I do my free coaching. I still only get 25, 30 people on there at any one time. But it's amazing. They're the same people all the time. They know that if they want to access me as a person and just have a laugh with me and, tell Rafi's put a bit of weight on, blah, 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 that's the place to do it. And it's about that consistency, not using YouTube for this thing today and then this thing tomorrow and then this thing another time. It's about that,
Okay, so say blog is always your opinion, and behind the scene is always on Instagram, for example, and then you got your Facebook for the coaching, the real educational stuff, and then you need to cross promote. So after the behind the scene on the Instagram, you need to say, oh, check out my blog on my opinion for this, and check out the lesson on Facebook for that. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly that.
So what are we talking?
Louisa, here's a good example. So all these riffs and rants that I just recorded to get me all the way through, I don't think you're wrong when I talk about this, but all the way through August, I'm completely recorded on my podcast. But the riffs and rants for the next 6 weeks are about a blog post I just put up called 10 non-scientific, non-guru ways to get your shit together. And each of the podcasts is one little section of that. And as I talk through the podcast, I'm saying, if you want to get the whole thing, go over to my website and read the whole blog. And there's a link in there to that. So it's over there. So now I'm getting ready to start recording videos about this too. And I'll say, hey, if you want to catch this, you can hear more about it over on the podcast. And then I go to the podcast and then go, so I can actually cross-pollinate this stuff anywhere I want to go. Does that make sense?
And the final idea is for people to land on your website?
Yeah. All I'm trying to do is get them to my website.
And just get them on a
ecosystem, right? Ecosystem. Yep. The word Mark says. Get them into the ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So you're building, the website is the hub, but you're building this thing around that hub.
Right. Because if they land on my website, if they land on the blog page on my website, there is a link to get them to go, why aren't you making your bold move? Here, take the quiz. It's right there front and center, which is the same thing they'd get if they landed on the homepage. So any of these places that are interaction, so like the podcast page, the blog page, those are what I consider true interaction, get them on the list pages. The other pages about me, my speaking and all that, that's like, I only want them people focused on what's on those pages, because those are transactional pages. If somebody lands on the coaching, I don't want to necessarily get them jumping into, oh, make your bold move. They could, but if they're already looking at the coaching page, they're there wanting to figure out what kind of coach I am. If they're looking at me as a speaker, they're wanting to know, what do I speak about? So if I go distract them to try to get them on a list, I'm actually losing the reason I want them at that page. However, as we now step into this stuff where I'm going to start writing some blog posts for LinkedIn about 10 reasons college students are failing, or 3 things colleges still keep screwing up that keep students from being a success, those are going to link back over to my speaking page. They're going to link over to, hey, you want more about this? Go check out what I talk about on college campuses.
Okay, so instead of trying to say, okay, if you're on my Facebook, go to my I don't know, podcast, and you're on my podcast, go to my Twitter, whatever. Instead of cross-promoting and around it, Why not just let every single one of those things point to the website?
Because that's a massive assumption. It's a massive assumption. And this is, I think, one of the big challenges that I've seen a lot with you guys insofar as like, why won't people make the jump from social to my website? And the honest truth is that social is there to make people care enough to want to go to your website. Like no one cares. Like if someone walks in to your office, someone walks into our place now and just went, oh, by the way, I can make you lose weight. I'd be like, whatever. And then a week later, like, I can make you lose weight. And then they keep coming in, and 6 months later, I might be like, wait a minute, that guy he must know what he's doing because he keeps saying that he can do it. So now I believe him a little bit, and I might go and chance having a look at his website. But if he just comes in the once or every single time he's like, come and go to my website, I'm like, leave me alone, mate. But if every time he comes in and he goes, instead of eating that chocolate, eat this banana, or try this thing, or try this thing, or try this thing, all this extra stuff that makes me feel better and makes me educated, there's the point then that he comes in and says, all right, look at the results that you've got from me stealth feeding you bananas instead of letting you eat that chocolate brownie. Now do you want to go to my website? You'd go and have a look. You'd be like, now I get the guy.
So you're saying if you tweet, people don't want to go to your website. If you do on Facebook, people don't want to go. You're trying to increase the conversion rate by saying, okay, you don't have to go to the website. Now you can still go to Facebook. Oh, you're done with Facebook. You still don't have to go to the website. You can go to something else. Is that what you're saying? The example
that I'd give with that one, sorry to jump in, the example that I give with that one, Louisa, is that people go to Facebook to screw about. That is it. And people go to Twitter to mess around, and people go to Instagram to mess around, and you know they're there because they've chosen to go to that platform to look at memes, cat pictures, look at what you are putting out there, football videos. Kieran, I don't know what he's doing, but they've gone for this. It's like walking into a bar and that person coming around saying, do you want to buy this thing? You're like, no, I don't want to buy this thing. But if someone came up and said, oh, I can see you've served, there's a sticker, see you later. That's the equivalent of social media. I've gone to the bar for one reason, just purely for one reason, and it's not to go to your website. So Facebook and Twitter, they're like the bars, you know? And it's only at the point where you think, do you know what, I do need a cab. There's the leaflet for the cab, so now I'm going to call the cab company. It just happens to be in the bar. You know, if you're on Facebook and someone at that point is having a meltdown with their kid, or yesterday they had a meltdown, or they're dreading going on vacation next week, and suddenly there you are. Oh yeah, I remember these guys. Maybe I should go and have a look. You know, so you got to kind of give them what they want in the places that they want it, and they don't want your web content on their chilled. I mean, it's called social media. It's not called advertise your stuff media. You know, it's called social media. So you kind of got to be social there and just say, look, I get that you're on Facebook for a reason, and I know that you're probably going to go to Instagram at some point later. Guess what? We're there too. And there's a funny meme of my kid holding this and Marco saying something. You know, that you can get a little bit ballsy with the content on it. And that just positions you then as the expert, because then when there's, if a kid's kind of having behavioral issues, you're the first people they'll think of.
And people get pissed if you are selling something on social media. That's the other component where people get, I don't want to buy your XYZ. And so it's stealth, like Mark said. So the idea is how to be stealthy and strategic about it, where you're giving them, what is it? The painkillers versus vitamins, Mark, in Lean Startup. What is it that?
Yeah, you're giving them the painkillers versus it's the cure versus the prevention sort of thing.
That's right. You're letting them know that they have, through your stealthiness, they're going to figure out, wow, I do have a problem, and I didn't actually realize that I had a problem, and Harmonious Clans got my solution. And it could be just from videos of like watching the kids melt down. Ever had this happen to you? Ever wish this? And you have them all sitting down at the table all quiet. We can help. That quick. I mean, that could be a 10-second video, and I'd be like, ooh, I want to find out how that happened.
Yeah, exactly. Right, guys, got to shoot. Got a meeting in 3 minutes now. But good sesh, really good sesh. I'd start thinking about that. I would start doing a bit of a plan of, do an overview of what you want your channels to do. You know, pick. You don't have to be on every channel. Just pick. I'm going to use this channel for that, this channel for that, and this channel for that, and really try and draw that map out. And then you start creating some stuff for it.
Your superpower are the kids, Louisa. That's the superpower.
Yeah,
both of us.
I agree.
Break on 3.
Break on 3. You can't say that. I'm going to tell Andrea.
By
Right, team.
proxy.
By proxy, that's it. Standing
Bye-bye.
in. Keep it rocking in Slack as well, Louise. I sent you a reply, and Raph will keep chatting, dude.
All right.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.